Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about why most people don't succeed and why most people don't even want to succeed. So let's get into it. I'll here for a walk. We'll just go point by point. So the first thing I want to talk about with regards to this video is the fear of change. So the reason why a lot of people don't want to succeed is because they fear change. They fear lack of stability. They fear instability. And this is very much natural human phenomena. You know, generally speaking, comfort, we crave comfort. We crave simplicity because that's what keeps you alive. In nature, in the wild, modern day civilization, this keeps you alive. It keeps you out of the way of risk, and that's what protects you. So, we as humans are very simple. You have food, you have friends, family, your children. This is what humans, naturally are kind of after. And when it comes to modern day, success, whether that's economic, which we're, I guess, talking about in the context of this video, although that's a gross simplification of it, this is what really prevents you a lot of time from achieving that. Because in order to differentiate yourself from the others, you need to have change. And that lack of stability is what drives change. So think about, I've been all over the world, right? And I know that some cultures are very much more conservative, whereas other cultures, they're kind of trying to push forward. If you look at USA in regards to technology, USA is very much a place in which they're always trying to kind of push the limits. Even if that may cause temporary lack of stability, there may be a lot of friction in the way. At least that's kind of how I see the USA technology market. And yeah, although there's ups and downs, the economy may not be always the most stable. There's fluctuations. It does push them to the next level, and it is, in my belief, part of the reason why they're just so far ahead in a lot of ways in terms of this, the tech that's coming out. If you look at places like Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, think about success the same way. The people that fear that change, fear pushing their limits, unfortunately, that's where innovation comes from, and that's where success comes from, at least one aspect of it. Next thing I want to talk about, whereas some other countries, they may prefer stability, they may prefer the slower pace, there's pros and cons to each. I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other, but in the context of success, sometimes this fear of change really holds people back. Next thing I want to talk about is imposter syndrome. The fear that we don't deserve it, the fear that we're going to be exposed as the fraud that we are. This a lot of time holds people back also. A lot of people will feel that they don't deserve it, that they're not capable, and that if they are capable, if it somehow happens, that it was a fluke. It was all by chance. It wasn't their hard work and ability which got them there. And this really holds a lot of people back. Self-doubt. So a lot of people have more potential than they really realize. They're capable of achieving a lot of things, whether that's athletic, whether that's monetary, whatever that is. A lot of guys, they just never put themselves out there from the beginning, and it limits them. Think of a lot of guys which are perpetually on the internet, for example. A lot of these guys just make all these assumptions about how, if I fit these specific criterias and I just go up and talk to a girl, then I'm gonna get the cops called at me. And this, unfortunately, is just, I don't want to say unfortunately, this is just not really grounded in any form of reality whatsoever. It's just, yes, could it potentially happen in some rare one-off situation? Yes, but it's just not gonna really happen. Even if it did happen, nothing's gonna really come out of that. You're not gonna get in trouble for those actions. But I'm just using this as an example of, people, they get in their head too much and they think they're not capable of something, but then when they just actually do it, they realize, wow, I actually can do it. It's not something like super difficult. Success is not easy. It definitely is not easy, but they just realize that, hey, I'm fully capable of this. And, overcoming that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, is going to really enable you to push forward and thrive and aim to achieve the goals that you ever, or whatever that you have in mind that you desire. Next thing I want to talk about is another thing which holds people back and causes them to not want success is the fear of responsibility or avoidance. Think about someone with, in the context of relationships, think about someone with avoidant personality. Avoidant personality is used to describe someone, maybe they got burned in the past by a previous partner, maybe they ignored some red flags, or maybe they ignored actual actions which were very indicative of a certain type of relationship dynamic. And then as a result, they end up getting burned. And later on, they just tell themselves, oh, I'm not gonna emotionally make myself vulnerable. I'm not gonna open myself up to a guy or to a girl. And as a result of that, they just avoid any type of relationships in the future. And they take that trauma, those problems from the previous relationships, into a new one. This is what I call avoidance. A lot of people are the same way. They don't want to take on the responsibility that a relationship entails, or they don't, in the context of success, they don't want to take on the responsibility that success requires. They don't want to put into work the initiative, and they just avoid it. They just delay it. They don't give it their all. And this is what I call avoidance. The fear of responsibility. And unfortunately, the same way as in a relationship, you can't be avoidant and expect a quality relationship, because you're never going to really be yourself. You're never going to open yourself up. You got to think of success the same way. Again, it's not to say that it's impossible if you display these avoidant behaviors, but this is just really limiting you, because you got to be the exact opposite of avoidant. You got to be confrontational. And when I say confrontational, in a relationship, that wouldn't mean necessarily, oh, you're rude and disrespectful. No, that's not what I mean. But you need to be able to hit head on. You need to be able to be vulnerable, and you need to allow yourself to potentially fail in order to succeed. And now that I just talked about potentially failing in order to succeed, that brings me into the next point. Failure. A lot of people view failure as they have a goal in mind, they have an outcome in mind, and that they don't achieve that specific outcome. So let's say my goal of success was to become a millionaire. Someone would tell themselves, oh, if I don't get that $1 million, then I failed. But I don't consider that the failure, because failure, an old guy, a friend of mine that told me this, failure is really the prerequisite to success. And when you start thinking of failure actually as a success, then you are succeeding, regardless of if you actually get the $1 million or not. So what exactly do I mean by this? Let's say there was that girl that you really liked, and you wanted to go on a date with her. You wanted to take her out. A lot of guys, they finally muster up the courage or whatever to ask her out, and then she rejects them, and then they think that they failed. No, you didn't fail. You actually succeeded, because you gave it your best shot. You took the initiative for whatever endeavor that was, and yeah, maybe it didn't go the expected way, the intended outcome that you desired, but you still gave it your best. Let's say you have a job interview. You get this really high-paying potential job, and you got to do really well in an interview. Let's say you sat there and took the time to study. You put into work to practice your script, learn all the questions, to the best of your ability, given the time constraints. And you went to the interview, and for whatever reason, they declined you. Maybe they took someone else, but for whatever reason, you didn't get the job offer, that is. A lot of people will say that, oh, I failed. No, you didn't. You succeeded, because you gave it your all, and in this time, you didn't get that intended outcome, but maybe next time you will. And you gotta understand, with business owners, with people in life, the people that are really good at things, they've failed numerous times. Look at like a skateboarder or a basketball player. Everyone just thinks that a basketball player was innately born with the ability to shoot the ball. And yes, maybe he had some, genetic or innate skill, ability, absolutely. But at the same time, he very much focused on honing in on his craft. No one is in the NBA and they never practiced a move in the paint or took a jump shot. It's just not gonna happen. Same with a skateboarder. You may see that skateboard reel online on the social media of the guy doing this really cool trick, but the reality is that guy probably tried that trick thousands of times until he finally mastered that move. So think about that of everything in life. If you're a business owner, a lot of times people see successful businesses, they hear all these stories, and yes, sometimes people just succeed on the first try. But if you look at most business owners that are successful, if you look at YouTubers, whatever, A lot of people failed. They tried, or failed in the sense of they tried and they didn't achieve that intended outcome the first time, but then they continued trying and trying and trying until they finally did achieve that outcome. And failure, as I said, to me, real failure is not about not getting an intended outcome. That's not failure. Failure is when you don't even try because you're scared of not getting the outcome. That's the true failure, because then you didn't give it any effort, and then as a result, if you don't put any effort, if you don't even try, then you're never gonna get the outcome. For example, the guy that wants to have a attractive girlfriend or something, if he doesn't sit there and ask her out, how can he expect that to just be handed to him? To me, that's the real failure, when you don't even take the initiative. Whereas the guy that took 100 tries and finally got what he wanted, or if he didn't even get what he wanted, he succeeded regardless. So, a lot of people, they don't want success because they fear failure. I think this is one of the most important points by far. The final thing I want to talk about is kind of delayed gratification. So, a lot of people, and this kind of ties into the previous point, a lot of people, they just want their intended outcome right away. And things don't work like that. Whenever you see someone say with 1 million subscribers on YouTube, yes, is it hypothetically possible that they just created 5 really quality videos that just really captivated the audience, and then they blew up to 1 million subs because these videos were super viral and people just loved them? Yes, hypothetically possible. But usually speaking, if you see someone with 1 million subscribers, they usually have at least 100 videos, maybe 1,000 videos. But in almost every single situation, when you see someone with a super high follower or subscriber count, they put in time and effort, initiative. So that gratification of getting to that sub count, it didn't happen overnight. It was a very long, calculated process to get to that end goal. So a lot of people, when they get into success, they want success. Maybe they say they want $1 million overnight. Yes, hypothetically speaking, it's possible, but chances are it's also not. And you're giving yourself better chances if you delay that initial gratification, that initial desire, and play the long game. I talked about a little bit in my previous video about dopamine as well, this similar type of effect. So when you delay gratification, you allow yourself long-term goals, whereas when you don't delay gratification, it's only short-term goals that you could achieve. And short-term goals could also be very fulfilling and great, but long-term goals, they have an exponential addition, added effect, added benefit. So that's it for my video overall on success. Why I think a lot of people don't ever achieve that success they desire, and in fact don't want that success. And it's for the things that I mentioned in this video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, make sure to like the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys are interested in a free 15-minute consultation or joining my Discord community, links are down below in the description of the video. As well as if you guys would love to support the channel, I have my Bitcoin address linked down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Bye-bye.